It's been so long. Part 21. I have your hot chocolate ready, Marinette said kindly. Chat Noir hopped off the railing, taking the cup that was not too hot to hold but not too cold to drink. Thank you. You didn't have to get me cocoa, he said, sipping on it. Marinette laughed a little, throwing a blanket over his shoulders like a concerned mom. Friend. Which she, kinda was. Consider it as repayment. You've been checking on me for quite a while, and I'm sure you don't have time to comfort every Parisian after a breakup, she said. Chat Noir sent her a coy smile. I don't. You're just special, he said honestly. Marinette turned around slightly, facing the sky with her eyes dragging across. You really know how to make a girl blush, the black-haired girl said. It was slightly muttered under her breath, yet his enhanced hearing still caught it. Just you, Chat said with an amused tease. Marinette turned her head back to him to give him a smile. You know, you don't need to keep coming back. I'm okay. Chat Noir's expression was one of masked sadness and defeat. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm bothering you, he said, rubbing his neck with his hand, deciding whether or not it was time to leave and get out of her fur. Her ocean-colored eyes widened and she shook her head quickly. No. I don't mean that I don't mean that I don't like you here. I do. I really do. I just, you don't need to keep coming back to check on me because I'm doing okay with the Aiden thing. You can still come. I love it when you come and visit. Marinette rambled out, grabbing hold of Chat Noir's wrist to keep him from leaving. Aha! Joke's on her. He didn't want to leave either. A fond smile appeared on his face. She was flustered. Very flustered. Her cheeks were red and her eyes were darting around, but at the very least sometimes landing on him. There was just the smallest trace of a stutter and awkwardness in her speech. This was the Marinette he had known only a year before. Not that Chat Noir would know that. She was almost always calm around his alter ego because, she liked him as a civilian. Though he preferred when she could speak properly to him and not run away, it was heartwarming and nostalgic to see a nervous Marinette. As Adrien, a year ago, he would have been worried about her hating him. Oh, how far from the truth that was. Now he knew better. She was just nervous, point blank. An idle thought of, maybe she's starting to like me as Chat Noir, came into his mind, but as quickly as it entered Chat Noir's mind, he had forced it out. Okay, I'll keep coming back to bother you then, Chat said, placing a hand on Marinette's shoulder, and a teasing smile was painted across his features. Immediately she eased up. I look forward to it. The girl ducked down and opened the trap door. Make a strike? She offered with a mischievous look. Chat couldn't say no, though the earth-shattering defeats did diminish his ego for a bit. The gaming ego, that is. He didn't have much of a appearance one, strangely enough. You'd think a model would have an aura of confidence, but apparently that was very incorrect. He followed her down into the trap door, entering the very warm and very pink room. A couple days into their new meeting on the rooftop and hang out for a couple of hours thing, Chat Noir had poked at the sheer amount of Barbie pink in her room. Marinette had rolled her eyes and snapped at him that pink was a very pretty color. It had shocked him a bit, the bright pink versus the dark night sky, but now he loved it. It made him feel calmer, warmer, less lonely. His worries, they all washed away, and whether that was because of the room or the girl was still unclear. The cat in black picked up a controller that he had unspokenly claimed. Marinette pressed a couple buttons and the sound-up music of the video game rang through. I'm going to win, Yeah, right, Shot said in a defended tone. Alas, she was right. She was always right. Marinette won. How are you so good at video games? I still don't get it, Shot said, staring at the leaderboard where Marinette snickered beside him. He really didn't understand. Growing up homeschooled, he needed to find ways to pass the time in between photo shoots and lessons and watching anime. Gaming was one of his favorite leisure activities. He had a lot of time to perfect his skills. Marinette, however, seemed to have barely any time to do anything fun, so it was a miracle she was so good. Especially now with all of her demanding design projects. I don't know, natural talent, I guess, Marinette said, putting the controller back on the desk after a few rounds. She pulled out a folder that read Science on the front. Chat Noir chuckled just the slightest bit. Where he had already finished his homework, she had not. Did you procrastinate? Again? He teased her. Marinette sent him a look that said, Shut up! No, she said in a defensive tone. After a couple of seconds of thinking, though, a sigh escaped her lips. Maybe, Marinette admitted, making the black-clad superhero laugh. While Marinette worked, they talked mindlessly about idle things, and somehow her work was finished. It was astonishing how she could multitask. Then again, it was easier to do work when whoever you're talking to already knows what the answers are and slips in hints. Wow, the stars are really bright today, Marinette commented, looking out her window. Chat Noir got a flashback to that magical Friday night. Subconsciously, a smile grew on his face. He was faced away from Marinette, though, unfortunately missing the soft smile on her face, too. There's the North Star, Chat said, pointing. At this point, he had trained himself to find the star as a reminder at night before he went to sleep. I see, Marinette said in an amused tone, jabbing the cat in black in his side. Stars are extremely pretty, she said adoringly. Chat Noir looked at her, seeing her side profile only. Black hair that was a bit messed up from gaming. He had tried to distract her on multiple occasions by pushing her head away, which in turn messed up her hair. Chat also noticed how long her eyelashes were. If, for say, she wore glasses, they would be kissing the lenses. My new line is based around stars, Marinette said, snapping Chat Noir out of his admire Marinette trance. Really? He said, with more surprise than he really had. Heck, Marinette had already told Adrienne that tidbit, not Chat Noir, so of course he had to act accordingly. Yeah, I drew up some designs early today. Do you want to see them? Okay, so technically he had already seen them. But she didn't know that, so Chat nodded his head and Marinette brought out the holy sketchbook. Again, he was in awe of how much she had done to change up the designs from just this morning. There were already measurement estimates scribbled neatly by each sketch. Wow, he said honestly, earning a giggle from Marinette. Nice to hear they're wow-worthy from Chat Noir of all people. He quirked an eyebrow up. Ooh, so I'm the top criticist to impress, he said with false cockiness. Again, bell-like laughter came from the girl with ocean eyes. Sure, she said with a playful eye roll. Chat Noir grinned mischievously, snatching a hat from her room. He placed it on his head and adopted the most formal and posh stance he could muster. He leaned over the sketchbook, pretending to inspect it the way his father would, complete with deadpanned hums and fake beard stroking. Clearly, Marinette caught on to his game, acting like an earnest newbie designer, which she had been, so to be fair, she was playing the part rather well. C'est magnifique, Chat Noir said with pizzazz. Marinette laughed and shut the sketchbook. Shut up. She threw another blanket at him playfully. Cheeks just the lightest bit of red. Of course, Marinette was not one to take a compliment. He dodged the hit of fluffy fabric. Only barely, though, and caught it between his claws. It's true, though. I'm being honest. Cat's honor, Shot promised her, raising his right hand to simulate an oath. Marinette raised a brow at the notion, though his hand nor serious expression faltered for even a second. You're a child. You know that, right? The black-haired girl said, shaking her head slightly, but smiling fondly at him. Showing his pearl-colored teeth and cat fangs, Chat Noir happily bounced his head up and down. How are you even a superhero? I swear, you're like 6, Marinette laughed again, this time patting him on the head as if he was a real cat. Chat Noir put on a mock, offended look on his face. I am so a superhero, he said, making Marinette burst out into laughter. I know, just how? Who let that happen? Just how? She said, looking off him as if she was seeing something far, far away. Instead of responding, Chat Noir wrapped the blanket around his neck as a makeshift cape and began to run around the room, making it flow out behind him. Na 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 na, Chat Noir, he shouted, while Marinette was dying of laughter on the floor. The apparently childish superhero jumped off the loft bed, landing without a hitch thanks to his suit and powers that it gave him. Marinette was still collapsed on the floor from the short yet insane scene. Oh my God, she gasped out. There were tears in her eyes. Good Lord, she was laughing so hard she was crying. Chat Noir smiled widely. She was laughing so hard, and it was because of him. Was it bad that it made him so happy and heart flutter and thump way too fast? Probably. Oh my God, Marinette said again, finally catching her breath and starting to recompose herself. As I've said before, how old are you? I swear. Of course the question was meant to be rhetorical, though Chat Noir had half a mind to say, the same age as you. I give you credit for the name change, though. I wouldn't have pegged you for Batman. I don't think a pink cape would have matched his motif, she said, poking at the blanket still wrapped around Chat's neck. Said boy smiled proudly at her. I'm not much of a black cape, Dark Knight uniform guy, Chat said, clearly not thinking his words through, though. Marinette looked him up and down, like a very obvious way of checking him out, though he doubted she was, which in turn made his cheeks go pink as the blanket and warm as her room. You're literally named Chat Noir. Your animal is a black cat. Do you not see the black spandex leather on your body? She asked with a teasing smile. Oh, right. It's kind of hard to say. I'm not much of a black clothing wearer when you were clad in literally only that color, or shade, as some stipplers say. I just remembered, Chat said in almost a mutter. Another laugh from Marinette. God, you are certainly a character, she said, placing her hand on his shoulders. Her hand was warm. That's weird. That's so weird. But it was true! Whether the non-creeper side of his mind admitted it or not, her hand was very warm. Her room was very warm. Her hugs were also very warm. She was a very warm and open person. He could always talk to her as Adrienne or as Chat Noir. But he couldn't talk to her or be around her warmth when she was gone in New York. Marinette was leaving for New York and would be there for a week. A whole week without her company. That felt lonely, even though she was right there by his side. "Hey, Shot, are you okay?" Marinette asked worriedly. She could sense when he was upset. God, she was amazing. "Yeah," Shot said, giving her a weak smile that she just did not accept. Don't lie to me," she said, a gentle snappiness in her tone. I just realized that you're gonna be gone in New York for a week," Noir admitted, allowing the sadness to slowly seep into his voice. Marinette's expression sombered. "Oh, Shot, I'm not gonna be gone for so long. I'll be back even before you know it," she said with a soft smile. It didn't seem to do anything to ease his mind, though. "I'm going to miss you," Shot forced out, keeping his voice even was a feat barely done well. Did he really want to explain to her that he was going to miss her warmth and laugh? Miss the way that she made him feel less alone? Miss the way the moment she stepped near him, nothing was boring as everyday life, but instead bright and special? No, telling her? That sounds like a terrible idea. "I'm gonna miss you too, but I'm not dying, I swear," Marinette said, giving a small laugh at the end. "I'm right here. A week isn't gonna change that." Shot knew that. It was kind of dramatic to be crying, but hey, she knew that he was kind of a drama cat, so it was all on her. In fairness, it didn't really seem dramatic in his mind. He knew it was, but it didn't feel that way. Truly, Marinette leaving seemed like the worst thing at this time. Being around her in this way, it made him feel as if he wasn't the only person in the world. It made him feel like he wasn't an outsider looking in. He was going to miss her and the feeling that she brought. "You're leaving me all alone, thrown back to the alley like a mangy stray," Noir joked, though the slight traces of honesty slipped through, and that made Marinette visibly concerned. "You're not going to be alone. And we're not going back to the streets," she promised him, yet a pout remained on his features. "I'll feel alone," he whined, meaning it to sound playful. It didn't, if you were wondering. His voice sounded scared, lost, and low-spirited. Marinette frowned slightly. A frown didn't belong on her face, and moved some of his untamable hair out of his eyes. Odds were, his emerald eyes were shining with tears yet to spill. "You were never alone. Not on my watch," the black-haired girl said tenderly. In one smooth motion, she laid his head in her lap and began to gently stroke her hand through his hair, a way you'd pet a feral cat when it just learns to trust you. Noir made a slight, soft and low purring noise, which, whether it bothered Marinette or not, she didn't know, 'cause she didn't react to it. "Look at the stars. Even when I'm in New York, we'll be looking at the same stars," she said, using her hand to angle the blonde's head towards the open window. His face clouded. "Time zones, Marie. When the stars are out in Paris, it's all bright lights and work for New York, and vice versa." Marinette thought for a moment, considering the time and, the rotation of the sun. "The stars are still there, aren't they? Even if you can't see them." Ooh, she had a point there. Noir gave her that. "I guess so," he replied. Marinette began to weave his hair, perhaps in a braid or nothing in particular. "You're not alone, ever. The stars are there no matter what time of day it is, and I'm here no matter what." Goodness. Noir had heard that promise before, and it sent him into overdrive. It almost sent him into overdrive, tears and sobs and all. Somehow he regained an earnest smile to the promise, at least, not to worry her with crazy tears and blubbers. "Thank you." His voice was quiet and soft and almost unsure. Marinette nodded, reaching a hand to his side, and she laced her fingers together and gave them a tight squeeze. Whatever uncertainty that lay in his voice or conscience went out the window and out far, far away from the stars. There was that warm, fuzzy feeling that went from their joined hands to his chest and probably piercing its heart while it was there. It was warm and fuzzy, like a hearth roaring with a fire on a cold winter's night, while families sat around telling stories and drinking cocoa. It was a feeling he wanted to feel every day. "Here, I'll give you my number. You can text me at any time. Just like the stars, I'll always be there." Marinette tapped his baton that sometimes doubled as a phone. Noir handed it to her, watching her face as she typed away. Her features were soft and inviting, her lips a rosy pink, and whether or not that natural hue or color came from a lipstick was unknown to him. But if he could find out via a kiss, there would be no complaints. Okay, that was weird. Noir brushed off that thought and instead focused on her eyes. The ones that had stolen his breath away on that fateful day. Still blue as ever, still sparkling like the ocean. "And now you have my number," Marinette said, her voice brightly breaking through his thoughts. "Oh, thanks," Shot said, knowing that he could very well have gotten her number by, the contact in his regular phone. But letting her give it to him in a normal way was fine. God, she would definitely think he had been a stalker if he shot her a random text on a day. Yeah, that would not be an ideal situation. Marinette slipped her hand back to his, and this time he had no hesitation and tightened his grip. They were quiet, which was pretty rare since the air was normally filled with chatter and laughter. It was peaceful, though. And though Shot knew he wasn't a fan of silence, the slight sound of Marinette's breathing was enough to not make him rip out his hair and fur like a madman, like he was close to doing so at his own home. Then again, at home he was alone, mostly with his thoughts. But here, there was Marinette. Her hand was still running through his hair, the one not holding his hand at least. She sighed in what he hoped was also mutual contentment. Why was she so pretty this way? So at ease. No one should be this pretty. So calm and peaceful? No one should look this way. No one but one Marinette Dupain-Cheng. God, this was perfect.